Good morning, my adventurers. Today we're making something that was requested from a few people, and something that's a little outside what I would consider tabletop ready. That being said, these pancakes are not your regular variety pancakes, no sir. These pancakes have fluff and flavor turned up quite a bit. What we're making today are essentially souffle pancakes, or commonly known as Japanese pancakes. Generally, these are made very slowly on very low heat, as you pour the batter in several stages to create layers. However, here at D&D, we don't have time for that. We're all about efficiency. So today, we're making our cloud peak pancakes and ramekins and allowing them to bake in the oven for about 25 minutes. While they bake, we're also going to be making a fruit glaze to bring a little tart to our sweet breakfast. Starting with our pancakes, I will mention this recipe is going to make only 4. So if you want to make this the main dish of your session, you're going to want to double it and grab some more ramekins. Conversely, adding fruit to this dish does pair well, and as I've always said, don't feel the need to cook everything when you're hosting. Have someone bring a side dish or two, and this meal will balance itself out nicely. You'll see here in the list of ingredients I mentioned 3 eggs, but there are no eggs on my board. That's because I went a little sideways with this recipe, partially because it's less calories and less cholesterol, and partially because it's just easier. If you do go with 3 eggs, make sure you separate the yolk from the whites. However, if you do want to do what I'm doing, you can grab egg whites and egg beaters and make your life easier. Just be sure your egg whites only list egg whites as their ingredient and nothing else. And for your egg beaters, make sure they aren't flavored. We definitely don't want our Cloud Peak pancakes having a Southwest style omelet flavor. These egg beaters aren't flavored, but they do have xanthan gum, which does help bind our ingredients together, which is essentially what we use our eggs for anyway. Now with that PSA out of the way, we're going to mix our flour, baking soda, cinnamon, vanilla, egg, and milk together. Once that's done, we'll put it aside. Before we start with our meringue, go ahead and preheat your oven to 300. Once that's done, now we need to whip our egg whites, which is pretty simple and shouldn't take more than 5 to 7 minutes. All we do is mix a bit, add a little sugar, mix some more, add more sugar. The important thing to note here is to try and use a glass bowl. Plastic bowls are porous, and if they weren't cleaned properly, can hold things like fat on the side. Fat is the enemy here, and glass works best. Continue to whip your eggs, and as little bubbles get smaller and smaller, your meringue will start to come together. Once you get some peaks, you're good to go. Don't stress too much if they aren't super stiff, as adding this to the pancakes along with baking soda should provide for enough of a lift. You don't want to overbeat your egg whites, as that can cause your souffle to fall apart. Now all we need to do is just fold the meringue into the batter slowly. Don't beat it, don't whip it, just fold it in little by little. Remember, there's little happy bubbles getting ready to make delicious pancakes, so we want to do as little as possible to disrupt them. Before dropping them into the ramekins, go ahead and give them a quick spray to make sure they don't stick. Butter can also work well here. Just be sure to do something, or you'll be eating your pancakes directly from the ramekin. And then once that's done, we want to pop them into the oven and set the timer for 25 minutes. Now to make our fruit glaze. Drop in 2 cups of fruit. I'm going with a combination of strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, and blackberry. At this point, you can really use whatever fruit you want, so feel free to experiment. And as you can see, these are frozen, but fresh fruit will also suffice. Turn the heat to medium and let the fruit start to cook a bit. Add in a tablespoon of brown sugar and then mix that around. Go ahead and add a half a cup of water and let everything cook at a simmer. While that's cooking, we want to mix 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 1 tablespoon of cold water on the side. This will help thicken our glaze just a bit. As this continues to cook, we want to just keep mashing down the fruit and mash and mash and mash. After about 10 minutes or so, you should be at the point where a majority of your fruit has been mashed apart. Take it off the heat and we'll let it cool for a couple of minutes. Once it's cooled off, grab a strainer and start scooping your glaze in and pressing it down to smash as much juice into the container below. You'll notice you probably won't yield a ton of glaze, but that's okay because, at least in my case, a little dab is all you need for this dish. Once your oven timer goes off, check to see if the top of the pancakes are a nice golden brown. If so, go ahead and take them out. If not, add a couple more minutes. But now it's time to play hot potato. Ramekins are going to be hot, but we want to try and plate these at a reasonable pace. If you want to let them cool for a minute, better safe than first degree burns. However, if you're feeling brave, grab a towel or some mitts and give them a little tap on the sides. This should loosen things a bit. If you need a little bit more help, get a small knife and trace around the edge of the ramekin and it should plop right out. Now we can just plate it with some additional fruit if you'd like, add some of the delicious glaze, and sprinkle the confectioner sugar on top. And there you have it, different version of pancakes, and in my mind the fluffiness the egg whites add is really the star here. Change the texture to almost a cake, and really who wouldn't want a cake for breakfast? As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I wasn't really sure if I should add this to the list of tabletop dishes only because this is only making 4 pancakes, which really is going to feed maybe 2-3 people. Adding the fruit does help, but you really need a side dish to kind of balance this out and make it worthwhile for an entire meal. But that being said, if you wanted to double the recipe and grab additional ramekins, that would definitely work as well. But this one was a fun one. This one was pretty delicious, and who doesn't like to have a little breakfast for a session, whether it be in the morning or even breakfast for dinner is probably one of my favorite things. So as always, if you go ahead and make this, let me know how you make out. Thanks for watching, and may your next session be your best.